Did you know the Ottoman palace kitchens had a secret courtyard so hush-hush that even the nosiest cats in Topkapi tiptoed past without yowling for scraps? Maybe you didn't, but you're about to squeeze through its tiny arched doorway tonight. Don't leave the answer at the end of this video. You trudge softly across ancient flagstones, the marble still warm from the sun that dipped hours ago. Above you, the moon throws silver shadows over stone walls that once guarded enough rice to feed an entire city. Though tonight the only thing on your mind is what they're really cooking up after dark. You slip past a half-closed wooden gate, creak, but no one shouts. Here in this courtyard, palace cooks gather like gossiping owls. Sleeves rolled to elbows slick with olive oil, eyes darting toward the towering harem walls, just to be sure no eunuch catches a whiff of their plots. You'd think they're conspiring to overthrow the Sultan. But no, just to whip up midnight feasts the official menu never mentions. Historians still argue whether the head chef truly held more secret power than the Grand Vizier. After all, who else could slip a forbidden almond tart under a locked door? You squat behind a crate of fresh figs, ears perked. A boy no older than 12 balances a tray of sugar dust clouds, lokum, Turkish delight, meant for the Sultan's pillow, not your sticky fingers. But who could resist? One morsel disappears in your mouth, pistachio, rosewater, a whisper of honey. Maybe you shouldn't have, but too late. Your sugar-buzzed grin glows in the dark like a lantern. Somewhere deep inside the kitchens, a pot clangs. Someone chuckles about adding camel milk to the next batch. Totally serious or teasing? Hard to say. Above, the tiled roof shelters secrets layered thicker than baklava. A sleepy breeze carries the scent of cinnamon and grilling lamb. Did someone just hiss for silence? You freeze. A cat brushes your ankle, traitor, and darts off. If you want to see what truly simmers here while the palace sleeps, you'd better move before that next locum betrays you to the watchful eyes behind the curtains. You slip deeper, barefoot on cold marble now, chasing that sugary trail into the heart of the palace kitchens. Here, under vaulted ceilings, blackened by centuries of smoke, you catch your breath, only to lose it again when you see what the cooks are fussing over. Mountains of crushed ice sparkle under flickering oil lamps, while copper basins cradle chilled sherbet so bright it glows like bottled moonlight. Wait, ice? In the sweltering belly of an Ottoman summer? Maybe they time-traveled to grab a fridge. Just kidding, they had a much cooler trick. Sly cooks sent runners up the Anatolian mountains to hack chunks of snow and ice. Wrapped in felt, dragged on muleback through forests echoing with wolves and bandits, these frosty treasures slipped into deep palace cellars before dawn could catch them melting. There, the Sultan's sherbet stayed cold. Rose, cherry, saffron, sometimes tinted with crushed violets so delicate they made grown men weep. Historians still argue whether these sweet frosts were served only to the Sultan's closest circle, or slipped to favored concubines as secret promises of more than just dessert. You watch as a cook drops a sliver of lemon ice onto his tongue, eyes rolling back like he's glimpsed paradise. A second later, he shudders, too cold for teeth accustomed to lamb kebabs and sticky pastries. You stifle a giggle. They hush you with a glare. One slip and the whole courtyard might wake. Someone sprinkles rose petals into a bowl, stirring so gently you'd think they were nursing a sleeping baby. You can almost taste it. Cool, floral, tinged with sugar and secrets. A scrawny apprentice elbows you aside, carrying a bowl big enough to drown a cat in sherbet. Don't worry, the cats here get their own treats. He mutters about the Sultan's sweet tooth. Rumor says one particular Sultan demanded 5 sherbets by sunset and another 5 by moonrise. Or heads would roll, figuratively of course, probably. You never know in a place where sugar can crown or crumble a dynasty. The ice crunches underfoot as you creep on, eager to find out what else chills behind these scalding walls. You linger by a smoky corner where an old copper-spiced chest sits, its brass hinges groaning like an ancient gossip, ready to spill every rumor it's ever hoarded. You ease it open, just a crack, and breathe in clouds of cinnamon, clove, and the tang of dried sumac. Somewhere under all that, a sharper note, crushed peppercorns brought by caravan from India. Or maybe a stowaway saffron thread worth more than a street full of bakers? Don't leave the answer at the end of this video. A cook with a hawk nose and a grin like he's stolen 3 secrets. Too many leans in and hisses. Careful. These spices don't just flavor the Sultan's stew, they carry whispers. One whiff and you're halfway down the Silk Road, where camel trains haul not just sacks of cardamom, but letters stuffed with gossip. Which vizier's nephew just vanished? Which concubine craves pistachios dipped in honey before she'll smile again? Historians still argue whether the kitchens or the harem spread more scandal, one stuffed pillow at a time. You edge closer as 2 cooks argue over a tiny tin of nutmeg. The older one claims it came through Venice, hidden inside hollowed dates, like edible smuggling barrels. The younger one snorts, nonsense. Everyone knows the Venetians overcharge for pepper, not nutmeg. They break into giggles so sharp you almost expect a eunuch to bark them quiet. But no one comes. The only audience is you, a lurking shadow hungry for spice and stories. Your fingers brush dried ginger, once worth its weight in silver. You sneeze, betrayed by your own nose. The hawk-nosed cook flicks a pinch of salt at you. Blessings, he says, half joking, half warning. You half expect him to sprinkle a circle of cumin to ward off your curiosity, but instead he slips you a fig stuffed with crushed almonds and pomegranate seeds. A bribe, maybe, or just a snack to keep you from asking what that coded letter tucked inside the spice chest really says. A distant copper pot clangs. Time to drift where the taste testers test fates along with flavors. You pad along a narrow corridor, your nose still tingling from stolen ginger, until a low doorway ushers you into the forbidden corner where tasters huddle like nervous chess pieces. Don't leave the answer at the end of this video. Here, under sputtering oil lamps, they sip, nibble, and sometimes spit, depending on whether tonight's treat tastes like heaven or hides a lethal surprise. You'd think the Sultan's enemies lurked only outside these walls, but here in the midnight hush, betrayal might be baked right into a honey cake. A wiry boy, no older than 15, pops a sliver of lamb kebab into his mouth, then waits, face carved from marble, until his eyes flicker open again. Safe. He shrugs and motions for the cook to serve it. You wonder if he's ever been tempted to lie, perfectly fine Effendi, then slip off into the night with a belly full of secrets. Historians still argue whether these taste testers lived like pampered guardians or trembling pawns. One bad bite and the palace might never know their names again. Behind him, a brass tray holds tiny bowls, pickled melon rinds, walnut pastries glistening under a slick of rosewater, a stealthy pilaf bristling with pine nuts. You pinch a crumb. Sweet, savory, suspicious. The head taster eyes you with a grin. Hope you've said your prayers. He's joking, mostly. You wonder if he dreams of retiring somewhere safer, maybe trading poisons for pomegranates in a sleepy village far from palace plots. Suddenly, a giggle bubbles from the shadows, an apprentice boasting about last week's prank, swapping salt for sugar in a rival's pudding batch. Harmless mischief, unless your boss is the Sultan, in which case, well, maybe not so harmless. You swallow the last crumb and imagine your name scribbled in some hidden record. One more mouth that knows too much. A distant rooster crows, false alarm, or first warning that dawn's breath creeps closer. Someone hums a lullaby older than the tiles under your feet. A cat weaves between your ankles again, maybe the same traitor from the courtyard, hoping you'll slip it a poisoned scrap. You wish it luck. Your own mouth tingles with tastes you can't name, but you're not done yet. One more bite before the sky softens into morning. You slip through the final archway just as the courtyard lanterns flicker against a sky bruised with pre-dawn blue. Don't leave the answer at the end of this video. Here, behind the last kitchen wall, the cooks guard their softest secret. A tray of sleepy pastries, still steaming, ready to vanish before the muezzin's call cracks the silence. You press your back to cool stone, watching an old baker dust tiny milk cakes with pistachio powder so fine it drifts like green snow. No royal decree orders this hush-hush feast, just habit and hunger and the sweetness of sharing what's left before the city stirs. A crooked ladle clinks inside a pot of honeyed rice. Someone spoons the last of a quince compote onto warm flatbread, folds it with one hand and passes it to you as if you belong here. Maybe tonight you do. Historians still argue whether these dawn bites fueled conspiracies or simply kept weary hands steady until the next meal. You chew slowly, soft, sticky, comforting. The courtyard smells of charcoal and rosewater, a final exhale of night before the sun claims every secret. Nearby, a cook wipes honey from his beard with the back of his hand. He teases a sleepy helper. Drop that tray and you'll feed the pigeons for a week. The helper yawns wide enough to swallow a fig whole, blinking at a horizon that's already gilding the minarets. You taste the air, sweet, spiced, tinged with stories. Somewhere behind you, the spiced chest closes with a sigh, its gossip sealed until the next midnight plot. The sherbet sellers settle back into cold darkness. The taste testers slip away, unseen. The cat, yes, that shameless little traitor, curls into a loaf near the warmest oven, guarding crumbs like crown jewels. A soft breeze drifts across your face, carrying away the clatter and chatter, leaving only the hush of dawn. You brush crumbs from your fingers. The palace wakes, the kitchen's quiet. You tiptoe past that courtyard gate once more, belly warm, mind spinning with secrets you'll never quite share. Sleep calls, or maybe you'll dream of pistachio snow and hidden courtyards waiting behind some other locked door. Please take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Sweet.